Hi, fourth grade. Welcome to Packet for Day 7 Reading and Writing Help. So we're just going to go over a few of the activities. We're just going to make some notes on what we should and should not do. I'm sorry these videos are being put out so late. Sometimes it's very hard to get around to filming, but I hope if you haven't done this yet, or if you're stuck on something, this will help you. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through reading first. So today they wanted you to reread Lincoln's Choice, and I'm not going to read that again because I think that if you want to hear it, if you need to go back through and listen, make sure you watch yesterday's video about Lincoln's Choice. But I'm going to go ahead and summarize it. Let's see if it will let me work here. All right, thank you. My computer's moving slow today. I'm sorry, guys. So Lincoln's Choice was a story, and our narrator told it. He knew Abraham Lincoln as a child, and him and Abraham Lincoln went to school together. 1 year they didn't have school because there were too few children to actually have a school year, so they didn't have a lot to do, but their parents wouldn't get them together too often because they knew the countryside could be very dangerous. And they were very adventurous boys. So one day his mother decides they're going to go to the Lincoln's house. Him and Lincoln spend the day together, and they go out to the creek because Abraham Lincoln says, hey, I saw some blueberries. And they want to cross the creek to get to where the blueberries are. But to do so, they have to jump on across the log. Our narrator loses his grip. Oops. Let's go back. Sorry. Our narrator loses his grip and falls into the water. If you need to reread it, if you don't have the reading in front of you, you can pause the video here and read this part. And then we're going to go to the next slide. Sorry. And if you need to, you can pause the video here to read this part. But at the end of the story, Abraham Lincoln does save the narrator's life by staying cool, calm, and collected. He grabs a stick, is able to pull his friend out of the water, is able to help get the water out of his lungs by patting him really hard on the back. And then they promise never to tell anybody about it because they would have been in big trouble. All right, once again, if you need to read the end of the story, make sure that you paused because we're now going to go down to our work for today. So our work for today was a sort. Now, there are two ways to do the sort. If you're doing it digitally, you're going to sort things by clicking and dragging them. So let me show you by looking at one of the characters. So one of the characters, of course, is the narrator. So I need to come over with my mouse and I need to click on it until it turns blue. And then I need to make sure that I see the 4 arrows together, like almost across there. And then I'm going to move it there under characters. And that's how you move the boxes. When it comes to events, make sure that you list the events in the order they happened. This gets tricky because it goes off the slide, and it's okay if it goes off the slide because I'll be able to scroll down when I look at it. So remember to do that when you have events, and remember one of those events is going to move over into conflict and resolution. So really quick to review, characters, they're the people in the story. The setting, this is not just where the story takes place, but when the story takes place. Events, this is what happens in the story, right? Our conflict is also our main problem in the story. What's the big conflict? What do they have to do in order to be successful or to get to that better ending? Our resolution is how the conflict or big problem is solved. And our theme is the message of the story. Yesterday, you guys actually came up with a sentence about the theme, and the theme should be over here in these boxes. So I also wanted to, I'm going to stop sharing the screen real quick because I want to show you what you can do if you have the packet. Because the thing about if you have the packet that you got from the schools is it's really hard to do a cut and paste sort with that because it's printed on both sides. So I want to show you what we did today that might be helpful. Instead of cutting it out and sorting it, you can put, and I know it's backwards because it's video and it has the mirror effect, But by the characters, I have here Abe Lincoln, and Abe Lincoln is a character, and I put CH. And the reason I put CH instead of C is because over here we have conflict. I was going to use C for conflict. So CH character. Over here I have an event. Lincoln saved my life. So I wrote E for event. As a matter of fact, I numbered the events. You can see in the order they had in the story. I'm sorry, that's backwards. Stream, that's a setting, so there's an S. So make sure that if you have it in the folded packet that looks like this, that you can just write what each thing is. And there might be some boxes you see in there, some words that you don't think belong in any of those categories. That's okay. Don't put a letter in that category. All right, so now we're going to start sharing the screen again because I want to go through writing with you. Now, the writing for yesterday and today was very similar, so I'm going to go ahead and look at that. Because all we're doing for reading is the sort. We have no vocabulary today. All right, thank you for being patient with me. Like I said, my computer's moving very slow, and I believe this is my writing. It is. All right, so yesterday, day 6, we should have started revising our day 1 journal entries. So the day 1 journal entries for packet 4 was a journal entry about what your new school day looks like now. We're doing learning at home, so our school day looks a lot different than it did when you were with your teachers in school. You're going to reread that journal entry. You're going to revise it and add more details to your writing. You're going to locate sentences where you can add more details. So you got to include the following: adjectives, that's a word that describes a noun, and adverbs, which is words that describe a verb. Now, an example of adding more detail to our writing goes beyond just adding adjectives and adverbs. We definitely want to add those, but we also want to add other details. For example, if my journal was I wake up at 7, I eat breakfast, I do my schoolwork, I eat lunch, I play video games all day, I watch some movies, I go to bed. How can we add detail to that? We can add detail to that by saying specifically what we are doing. So we can say what we ate for breakfast. What do we usually eat for breakfast? Do we eat cereal a lot? Do we eat something different? We can say which subjects we do first when we start our schoolwork. Do you start with reading? Do you start with math? Do you start with Virginia Studies? We can describe if we go into Zoom meetings or not. You know, 4th grade has that 11 to 12 Zoom meeting every day. You can describe what video games you play if you play video games when you're done with your schoolwork. You can describe what movies or shows you watch or what YouTubers you watch if you're watching things. You can give us detail about the times you're doing this. These are all examples of adding detail to our writing, and it makes our writing better. So make sure that we're not just adding adjectives and adverbs when we're revising, but that we're adding details to it. If you're doing it digitally, you have an area for the revision where you add details. Now for day 7, you're going to go back through that. You're going to look back through your revised day 1 journal entry, which is now your day 6 work. You need to make sure you have the following: the correct punctuation. So periods, of course, come at the end of the sentence. Our commas, what are those for? I'll give you a minute to think. Commas separate ideas in a sentence. Question marks we use when we ask a question. And exclamation points we use when we're super excited about something and can't wait. Make sure the correct capitalization is used. If you're doing digitally, we have an awesome capitalization rules video, and it's also got some other mechanics in there. It's fantastic, and I'd love it if you would watch that if you have it. If not, the main thing to remember is that if it's at the beginning of the sentence, if it's a name, whether that's a place or person, any kind of noun, if it's a name, or if it's I when referring to yourself, those are all capitalized. Correct your spelling errors. Use your word study patterns to make sure your spelling is correct. Another thing you can do, because we know that sometimes some words are spelled that go against the word study patterns, we can use a dictionary. So we're going to do that. We're going to take our day 6 revised journal and we're going to edit it. So we're going to add the edited journal entry here where we fix all the grammar, the punctuation, all the capital sentences. We'll do that here. If you're doing it on paper, what you can do is when you revise it, then you can go back through and you can mark things out and fix them on the same piece of paper. All right, remember that writing is a subject that is separate from reading. So we need to see 2 samples of your writing every week, as well as 2 reading work samples. So make sure you get those turned into your teacher every week. Most of you have the weekend to finish it up. Thank you so much. I hope that this helps some of you. If you need any help, make sure you reach out to your teachers. 4th grade, we sure miss you a ton. Stay safe, stay awesome. Remember, we're better together. Thanks, 4th grade. We'll see you soon.